So how was it presented to you? That it ended up to be Fran and us guys that
it was.
Did Will bring stuff to you?
Yeah, he gave me 20 finalists.
Oh, really?
As it were, and I listened through to everything. And the top, you guys came in the top 3 every time, and then there was 2 American bands, which I really liked, and they were really left of centre.
Yeah, Fran was mentioning about some American chaps as well.
Yeah, but I thought we probably work together better, because what you guys are doing is definitely what I'm into. Do you know what I mean? So
great.
I think, and this setting, because one of the bands was quite electronic.
Right.
And it would seem like a bit of a waste.
I mean, the space is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really wanted to use the space to its best advantage, really.
Absolutely.
So I think once we're going, it's going to be... I want to hear the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What a beautiful space to work in.
It's lovely. It's really gorgeous. So...
monitoring here as well. It just looks beefy, to say the least.
And doing the tape thing as well is...
Yeah.
So that's how really it's sort of like, I think that would work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Fran. I write and perform in Ajimal. I founded the group a couple of years ago. And on this track, I'm playing piano mainly and singing.
Together as a team, and the concept came up. He thought, well, why don't we do a recording competition, something where we take any artist or a band from any place in the whole world and give them the opportunity to record in the ultimate setting. So we devised the plan that we would come to Air Studios. We thought this would be a great setting for the competition. We then looked for producers, and we didn't get much further than Massey, who is so well renowned for his work on remastering the Beatles and working with Manic Street Preachers and people like Ed Sheeran. We thought if we can get him involved to record the winner, that would be fantastic.
Well, I think Will and one of his partners, they had, I think it was 1800 originally, and they pared it down to it was about 20, I think, which they sent me, and then I listened to them over like a couple of days, and Fran sort of ended up in the top 3 every sort of permutation of sort of winners. He was always there, so and then I chose Fran because I thought that I do that sort of thing really, and recording a band in this space would have been the best option really, because there was one band that was quite electronic, and it felt like it would have been a wasted opportunity almost, if we'd just been in the control room doing electronic stuff. If you come to Air Studios, you want to use the space and the microphones and everything that's available to you in this room. And after chatting with Fran, it was a very sort of organic thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to use tape and do it live. So it would have been a perfect opportunity to do all those things, really. We recorded or decided to use tape because, I guess because the band were going to play live and probably hadn't utilised, 2-inch wide format tape before, that I thought it would be really just a good idea, really. I mean, I love the sound of tape still, and try and do as many gigs on tape that I can, and then generally what we'd do is do the backing tracks on 24 track 2-inch, then dump that into Pro Tools at high resolution, so 2496, and then do any overdubs there on into Tools. So we used Studio A827 tape machine, 15 IPS, Dolby SR, because it's quite a quiet track, and didn't want the tape hiss to I didn't want it to interfere really. We took a digital copy at the same time as well, so every time we did a take, the tape machine was in repro and it was being decoded Dolby decoded as well, so we had a digital version and a tape version at exactly the same time, which was quite streamlined actually. And in the event that I don't want to use any of the tape elements for any reason, I've got a digital one sort of lined up too. We used GP9 tape, and at the house level, so I don't think it was super high level. And it sounds great. It sounds lovely, really warm, and it's got lots of depth to it. So yeah, it was good fun. 15 ips, generally I like the warm 15 offers. So, in the low end you get a real sense of it being anchored at 15, which you do at 30 as well, but it's because it's such a warm track. I wanted the bass and the low end to be really not soupy but really buttery, and that's what 15 ips does for me really. It's a really it's anchored in a way that 30 doesn't do to me in some way. That might be a romantic notion, I'm not sure, but it just sounds better to me, and for the low end definitely.
Hi, I'm Mark and I play pianos for Ajimal, and on this track I'm playing an upright piano, sort of right hand to what Fran would play, and he's also convinced me to play some clarinets as well on it, so that'll be interesting a little bit later on this afternoon.
I might just add those low notes at the end, just to. It could maybe just be raw.
After speaking with Fran on the telephone, we decided to do it all live because they'd been rehearsing this track. I mean, there was an option of maybe doing another track, but Fran sent me the film, which I think you saw as well, of the track we did, and it seemed fully realised to me. There wouldn't be much, chopping and changing of the arrangement at all. So I thought, yeah, and they'd rehearsed it really well. I always think when musicians are really well rehearsed, tracking it as live as possible is you just get a better vibe. If there's a great line of sight for all of the musicians, they can bounce off each other. I mean, we didn't use click because that tends to push people into a box sometimes. There's no freedom to move about. I wanted the choruses to speed up naturally and decay naturally and all that sort of stuff, to have its own movement, which I think it really does now. And yeah, the main sort of recording options were we had the drums in the back room here, which is nice and live, but I didn't want any of the drum spill on the piano mics, which I think we got pretty well. The grand I covered over a little bit just so we didn't get too much leakage of that onto the mics on the upright. Bass, we put the cab in a booth, and they just maybe did 6 or 7 versions, and I edited between those.
I'm Matt. I play drums in Ajimal and perhaps a bit of backing vocals every so often. Yeah.
For the first few runs, let's do exactly what you did from that sense, and if we feel we're not getting enough of certain, just a little bit. Yeah, move everything. That's cool. If it's not coming across enough, we can handle remiking it, thinking about it as an overdub.
Yeah.
And have it in a different space. Unless you specifically want it to sound like a four-wheel one.
No, I don't. That's the thing. I think because doing it live, I think to capture the feel and the sort of energy of the performance, but I don't think it has to feel like it's all done. Do you know what I mean? I think we could definitely split it up and add things in as well. I think.
Yeah. You know, the arrangement of any of it I think is brilliant, but obviously we have to come out with something that bears up to repeated scrutiny, I guess, and for it to be just beautifully considered, I guess, and we can probably achieve that with the live takes. But if we can embellish it enough, obviously we've got quite a few things going on top that aren't on the demo.
Yeah.
If we feel that we're not cutting it live with all the elements, we can treat it differently.
Perfect.
So I guess I just have to make sure that the spill that we're getting is all friendly spill, especially on the piano. This is just a starting point, really. Probably won't use all these spot mics. I mean, generally I try and get a kit sound from just the overheads, really. I mean, an overall picture. So these are the ones I'll put up first and try and make sure the whole kit's balanced. And then I'll put all the spots in after that and make sure they're all in phase. And I'll record them, but whether we need them or not, I don't know, because the drum part is very minimal.
Yeah. Seems to have quite a few on the kick.
There's one inside for a bit of attack. And then I'll probably do an either or thing here. The NS10 cone is there for basically the sub-harmonics. Everything below 100 Hz is rolling. And the part, well, I mean, there isn't a kick part at the moment, but I think maybe we should investigate introducing a pulse there's an instrumental section in there, which might be nice. Right. So I'm going to mic it up with that. And then the one in the middle, the silver one, is a ribbon, which often is a cure-all. It just sounds great as it is. So it might be, it's just that I record that one. It's a Shaw KSM 53 or 253, 353. It used to be as a company called Crowley and Tripp that Shaw bought. And I got that about 3 years ago, and it's a mic you can use on everything. It just sounds amazing. But it can take a real sort of SPL as well, so you can stick in front of a bass drum, bass cab, guitar cab on full, and really loud vocals, and it doesn't break. It starts to break up on really loud vocals, but in a really good way, sort of distort in a cool way. Okay. So it might be that we just use that if we get the drum part, bass drum part. But I'm just putting them all up just in case.
Yeah.
And the rest are just spots. I've got 2 ambient mics here, which I'll probably run through some compression just to bring the room up a bit. And then sort of Neumann condensers. They sound really lovely, actually. It's a really beautiful mix. And then I'll probably get a plate going, and they've got some nice old valve ENT plates, which I'll send the close mics to and record that hopefully as well. I think it's quite a textural thing with drums, isn't it? It's like it's not here are the drums. It's a real textural part, and they're not hit hard really at all. It's just they bloom in and out.
Right.
So the multi-miking, it looks like a lot, but I guess for the toms, I always try and double mic toms because you get more depth to them. And it's quite, I mean, for the drum part that there is there, it's quite tom driven, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I always feel you can get a lot more. I guess depth out of multi-mic in those, and similarly with the snare as well, top and bottom. So yeah, overheads mainly for me are the key. If you can get a really good overall sound, feeding in your spots then just gives it more focus.
Yeah, there's something so musical about sound. We're in a new chord. Hi, I'm Ben, and I'll be playing bass with Ajimal for I've Known Your Heart.
It's got the ultra high and ultra low stuff on.
I can get like the detail on the bass itself, I think, if we just get it flat on the amp first.
Bright channel and normal channel.
Say again?
Got the bright channel and normal channel.
Go for the normal.
Okay, if you play it should come through.
great, this room, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
Store. I mean, I want to hear a bit of the string in the app, not just
Yeah.
so yeah, just play us a little bit more.
I can put a bit on the bass. Do you want to fiddle on that, or should I put a bit?
What are you wound off a load of treble?
I'm just all flat on here at the moment. I can get a bit more treble on here.
No, but just be flat on there because it's easier to get back to if we need to drop. And
Fine, great,
So if you're flat, we'll get it at the end.
great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of sustain and carry really is what I think we're after.
You could just play it for us too.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some takes now, and then just for the words, I will put any. Sorry, mate.
Was there a bit you were missing on the lyric sheet?
No, I'm just marking it up here, and we're wondering if there were any sort of repeats that you hadn't written down.
No, I think I put those because it was just the times 2 bits. I think everything else is in. Hopefully.
Okay, mate. No worries. So there's take 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if this line is a bit dodgy, I'll stick an X in there, or if it's particularly good, I'll stick a tick in. And then when we come around to edit, if we need to edit, I know which ones to pick.
The original thought was that we would have the vocal running live with the main backing tracks, and in the event that happens, I always like to make sure that the spill. I mean, we didn't have a huge amount of spill on the piano from the vocal, but there was a lot of piano on the vocal mic. So you've got to spend a bit of time making sure that the phase of that spill is right. If you push the piano in the phase of the vocal mic isn't right with the piano, as it starts to phase out weirdly. You just have to remember, I guess, that the piano sound isn't just the close mics on the piano, it's the vocal mic too. So we spent some time on that, and then we decided that we were going to do the vocals separate. Because he wanted to concentrate more on his piano than on the vocal. He did maybe 5 vocal takes last night when we'd finished, and I think I used 90% of one take, and then just edited in a couple of words from previous takes.
I'd originally been asked to do a live session a couple of years ago, and I thought it'd be much nicer to do with some friends, so Mark and Matt and Ben. We've been good pals for years, so we thought we'd work on a track that I'd written a few days previously, and we really kind of boiled it down and got it into shape, and it was lovely. So we recorded that, and we're really happy with how that sounded and the feel of the performance particularly. And we put it was on YouTube, and it got really good reception, so it's been one that has been in our kind of catalogue that we play for a couple of years, and it's one that we really like, and it's one that we thought would work really nicely to record and to shape further. So I entered the competition actually. It was my brother who sent me a link originally to the competition, and it sounded absolutely wonderful. So I entered it and just sent some links and then kind of forgot about it until I got notification that we'd been picked for it, and it was sort of stunned disbelief. I hadn't really thought about instrumentation and orchestration yet. I'm a big fan of that kind of thing, but we hadn't explored it. So that's something really exciting to hear it just get wider and get fuller and add those textures in. So I'm really excited to hear where it goes and what other sort of sounds and things we can add in. So we've recorded it in this fantastic place for a start, which has been absolutely wonderful, and the song sounds fantastic in the room, just playing together. It's so lovely. Everything that we hear just sounds fantastic. The piano is a wonderful Bosendorfer grand, and we've got Oliver up there as well. Everything just sounds fantastic. It's very sort of close mic'd, and we've gone into tape as well, which I never recorded directly to tape before. And I mean, everything just sounds so full and so rich, and then with strings and woodwind and all the extra layers that we can add, and we've got lots of effects then afterwards that we can still toy with and shape further. So it's just sounding fantastic.
I mean, I keep saying old school. It's a very old school recording session, live to tape, and then we're doing sweetening overdubs, today, really. So we've just had the strings in. We're going to do some woodwind and some vibes and other bits and bobs later. Fran and the lads have got a really sort of, I think, a clear idea of where they want the backing vocals to be. So they've rehearsed that quite a lot before they came down. So we're going to tackle those first, which then will inform us where we're going to do the woodwind, because we don't want any parts to clash or frequencies to clash in the wind. So I guess when I was talking about experimentation, we'll probably experiment with parts, and they have written parts for the woodwind, but now we've got the strings on, it might be too much. So we'll record some stuff, or have a listen to what parts they've got written, and if they're not quite right, we'll change them and add them. But I think when I was talking about experimentation, it's things like with the bowed vibes, I really want to hear some proper subsonic bass in there, so we're going to have a look at a couple of synths just to get something really low in there, just very in subtle places. And I mean, I hear some sort of glitchiness going on, which Fran's a big fan of. We've got an old Vincent Ecker wreck in there, which sort of is doing its own glitching at the minute. So I'm thinking about maybe recording that, and then sort of fucking with the sound a bit, to make it really sort of unsettling in a way, but not self-consciously unsettling. So it's in the background, and it pulls your ear to like what's going on there, like just a textural thing really, because the strings do that in their own way. I mean, when Sal was going through the arrangement, we were thinking maybe it needed a bit of dissonance somewhere because it's quite sweet. But that can sometimes come from sounds that, maybe don't have a particular musical quality, but there's a tone of some, puts you in mind of something. And maybe like just interference from some of the equipment, if we can treat that in a way, might really add to an undercurrent, I guess. But then it will put it in, and we might think, yeah, it sounds good, but it's sort of a bit self-conscious. It's a bit like, well, we're throwing stuff in there just because we've got time to, but I guess that's where you get, some happy accidents or stuff that you're aiming for, and you do it, and it sounds great, so we'll keep it. So, as I said, I think the rest of the day is going to be doing the parts that they've worked out and then having a bit of fun. by the end of play today, hopefully we'll have all the elements in and edited. And then what I intend to do is I'll probably just give them a board mix to take away with them so they can hear all the elements. It won't be particularly finessed, I don't think. But yeah, in the next couple of weeks, I'll take it away and do a proper mix. And in the mix, I mean, most of the sounds that we've recorded are sort of how I want them to be anyway. So it'll be filtering stuff if it's a bit too bass heavy or just all the stuff you do in mixing really. So it's a bit balancing between all the elements. I don't really see a huge amount of creative mixing going on in the sense that it's all all the sounds we've got are how we want it to be. It's very natural sounding, but it's got to sound grand and deep. From that point of view, it's more of a balanced job, I guess, instead of like a clinical mix gig. I don't think I'll have to get creative with effects and things. I mean, some nice plates, a bit of spring reverb. I was thinking of doing a filtered reverb on Fran's voice. And the rest is just balancing, I think.
We've captured a performance vibe to it, which is really nice because that's always been quite central to the song, I think. And for me, the delivery of the lyrics and the vocal melodies is really fundamental to it as well. It's been fantastic working with Guy. I'd spoken on the phone with him quite early on, and straight away I think he got what we were going for. I'd sent him the track and he understood that what we wanted to do with it, and I think and his ideas were around trying to expand it, and a similar sort of idea with strings and woodwind and orchestration and just making it very grand, but also keeping the core of the song and keeping lyrical ideas. And he's been a very sort of just very calm, like reassuring presence in the control room as well, and just really gets the sound, I think. So it's been a pleasure. It's been absolutely a privilege for us to work with him.
Darling, time waits for no shoe, still there for me or you, and everything we do makes time slip faster still.